My name is Lunta Di La Paulu. I'm the managing director of Yeto Accounting and Tax PLLC. I'm excited to be here with you today because we're going to be talking about a very important subject that a lot of business owners, unfortunately, are struggling with. And still, in our topic around exit planning, today we're going to be talking about how do you find candidates, and it's purposeful why we use the expression candidate and not necessarily a buyer, okay, if you are starting to think about your potential business exit. So before I actually jump into this conversation, I want to begin with a story about a situation that actually happened last week, if I recall correctly, towards the end of last week. I had a call with a potential new client, and they shared with me their major concern as we began the conversation. We wanted to learn about their history, their background, what they're doing, and more importantly, what led them to have that call with us in that specific moment. And they were telling us a lot of stuff, and I really pressed on them to ask, okay, please, I know very often when a business owner has an urgency looking to sell their company or exit in the next 1 to 2 years, it's usually because of a major issue happening in their life, and they just feel like they are against the wall and they have to exit as soon as possible. And he finally said, for a long time, I've built my business. It's very successful. At some point, we were an $11 million business, but today we really fell sharply in our revenue. We are about $3 million in revenue, which is still amazing, by the way. Our profit, our net income has been below 300 grand. Um, and my daughter, and that's where the shock came, right? My daughter actually just left in at the end of last year, and I was hoping to transfer the business to my daughter to continue running the business so that I can go into retirement or significantly reduce my involvement into the business this year. And then 2026 I would be entirely and 100% retired, right? And that was that punch into their stomach that really put a lot of pressure on them. And we see this unfortunately so often, so many times. We see this all the time, unfortunately. Many business owners don't necessarily plan about selling their companies, even though we keep telling business owners, even if you don't think you'll ever sell the company, you need to have a plan B. Even if you think it's 100% your kids will inherit the business, we have no control over life. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, in 5 years. They might want to get married, or they will get married, and they might decide to move to a different state. They might want to pursue other interest or career. God forbid, something bad may happen, which I'm not wishing for any of us. But life is just unpredictable. We can't really control what life is going to look like. And unfortunately, no matter how many time we tell business owners about this, it doesn't feel like people are willing to have those kind of hard conversation. And I just want to encourage you, if you're listening to us today, right? So and if you're a business owner, you run your business, please don't wait on a situation like this business owner we met last week to be in a position where you are put against the wall and you feel like now you must act, you must be doing something. And that's really the easiest and certain way to lose significant portion of your net worth, and even to sell under pressure and not get exactly what you'd hope to get for your exit. So I bring this conversation because it's really important. It's very critical that you and I begin engaging in this kind of conversation. Because if you're waiting, if you're hoping for your kids, your children, your grandchildren to take over the company, or a long-term employee to buy out the company. My friends, I cannot tell you how many times I'll repeat, how many times that we were meeting a business owner who was expecting that one of the employees or a couple of employees will join forces and try to sell the company to them, or buy the company from the owner. And this happens actually fewer lesser time than actually many business owner expect. So hoping is not a strategy. Hoping is not a business approach, a business way to run a business. You actually need to have a detailed plan that gives you alternatives, that gives you comfort, and you work towards those plans to ensure that whatever happens, you have a plan in place that has been put in motion that can help you address whatever situation or scenario that may come to happen. So where I'm getting right now is to share with us, right, what we absolutely need to consider when it comes to finding candidates for your business if you're considering to exit. So generally, people can transfer or transition out of their businesses by doing one of the three things, right? Number one, you can just close your business, right? Shut down, wind up the operations, and then sell the assets. You're done. If you are a one person show, that's easy. If you are in the service industry, that's very easy. You don't have significant assets. You can just wind up the operations and be gone with your life. However, if you are in a capital intensive business, if you are in an asset heavy business, a lot of machinery, a lot of vehicles, a lot of equipment, you'll have a little bit more work to wind up the business and significant tax implications to have to deal with. Okay, but it's still possible. However, many times that's not necessarily the best way for you to exit, because the book value and the market value of the assets you have typically will reduce as the time goes. Therefore, by the time you get close to selling those assets, you might not get as much money as you hoped to get at the exit. So that's number one. Number two, it's just what we described here for a situation with one of the prospect we had last week, right? You can pass the company to the heirs or to your children or to your employees, right? You can sell to either group as well, okay? Or you can give them portions of the company as time goes and use that as a tax strategy to actually reduce your taxable income. That's one way you can do it. But this approach needs to be planned way ahead of time, and people need to actually have conversations and have plans around how do we ensure there is a smooth transition. And it cannot be, I stress this, it must not be an internal conversation you have with yourself and the other people don't know. Your children don't know that you plan to transfer the company to them. Your employees don't know that you want to transfer the company to them. You gotta have this conversation with them, involving your team of professionals to ensure that this is a good transaction that is being facilitated accurately, correctly, to avoid heavy tax complication for both sides. Okay, so that's very important. First element, no presumption that the other side knows what you're hoping to do. You have involved everybody, you are having conversations, and you create a plan to actually execute this transfer or this sale, okay, to either your kids or your employees. Okay, very important. This is one other way to finding good candidates to facilitate your exit from your business. And the third way, which is a little bit more common in our society, which is a sale to a third party. Okay, And here it's important to understand the different types of business buyers in the market today. But let me tell you what we know for sure about business buyers in our market today. Today, we know that business buyers are a little bit better educated about M&A transactions, business acquisitions. We also know that business buyers today are very well equipped with a team of professionals coming ready to really look into your company, to take really good measurement, right? To make sure they do a proper due diligence and they're making an offer that will allow them to capitalize on your business. And we also know that a lot of the business buyers today are coming with deep pocket, for instance. They today, thanks to the SBA, it's easier to find a large pool of money to acquire businesses. But unfortunately, business owners who are the sellers in this transaction do not understand necessarily the M&A process, the M&A transaction, the mindset of business buyers. And it's critical to understand that because the different groups of business buyers who maybe by the way strategic buyers, folks in similar to your business or in the similar industry to your business, they typically understand very well the industry, understand the player, understand the regulation, understand the risk. Sometimes they're motivated to acquire your company based on the fact that they can acquire a new client base that it could take them significantly more efforts to acquire, right? That your business probably have. Sometimes they're also motivated by the desire to achieve certain synergy. Think about this. If I am an accounting business and I buy another accounting business, I might not need to have two managing director, for instance. I might not need to have two office managers or two office assistants unless I have two separate buildings in two separate states, right? That might drive me to make this kind of decision. In some function, I might need to remove the redundancy and therefore increase my cost saving initiative and drive my profitability up. So it's important to understand the motivation of a potential business buyer. So I talked a little bit about buyers who are considered strategic buyers. Again, the folks who are in the same industry or similar industry to your company. On the other hand, we have financial buyers, and these folks are largely motivated by the desire to achieve high return on capital deployed, meaning they want to achieve as much return as possible. It's to them, it's like investing in the stock market: buy low, sell high. They are motivated by the desire to achieve high return on their capital or for their investors. So you have these two large buckets of potential buyers, and within this bucket there are other sub buckets, right? We have, for example, today we talk about search fund principals, folks who are also interested in buying businesses. We are seeing them a lot more frequently in the lower middle market, even among small businesses, right? Businesses generating 500,000 in profit. Searchers are also targeting these businesses. We also have independent sponsor, wealthy individuals who have a little bit of money and they want to go into entrepreneurship, but they don't want to start everything from scratch. They don't want that kind of work. So they go out there in the market and they acquire your business. Number three, we also have family offices, right? Established organization with some pockets of money. And those folks are typically also acting in the small business space, lower middle market, and in some cases, middle market. And then we have the private equity guys who also can invest along the way. In our firm, we typically see businesses between 500,000 in profit to up to 5 million in profit. Okay. So typically that's the range that we're playing with here, supporting business owner, identifying good candidates for their exit. So again, I want to stress the fact that as a business owner, you really need to start thinking about your exit, not tomorrow, but today. If you are 40 years of age, you really need to begin thinking about this. If you're 50 years of age, it becomes an urgency. If you are 60 years of age or above, it's something you should have begun doing yesterday, because each day that passes works against you. And by the way, most people have an incorrect perception of selling a business. Folks out there are thinking, if I want to sell my business, I can just list it or find a broker and I'm gonna list it and I'm ready. Sure, you could do that, but the odds of you selling that business, my friend, unfortunately, is largely 1 to 12 at best. Okay, so you really need to prepare your business if you want to get outstanding results, if you want to get good outcomes, if you want to get decent result for your investment. Okay, you need to begin thinking about it yesterday, or at best today. Okay, because the more time you give yourself, the more time you have to actually prepare the company, address key issues that might come out. Okay, if you had to list the company in the market as at its current condition. So, my friend, I just want to wrap up this conversation by saying, hey, listen, you're not alone. If you need help, we're here. My firm is here. I'm a CPA, but the good news is I'm not your typical type of CPA who only looked at the history. We actually look both at the history, not only both, but we look at the history, at where we are today, and especially where we're going tomorrow. We want you to be proactive. We want to help you. We want to make sure that we are taking actions today to ensure that you're not going to be falling into a big pit tomorrow. So my goal with you today is to help you wake up, okay, from the la la land and actually begin working towards planning. Okay, if you need help, we're here. Our contact information is below in this live, so make sure to reach out to us if we can help. And if you don't think we are close enough, like some folks that have reached out to us before, they wanted to work with somebody local, that's not a problem, my friends. But please find help. Whatever you do, just find help, and find help today. Okay, don't be the type of business owner who says, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, and then never get it done until it's a little bit too late, until they are healed, they have to go through surgery, and suddenly they feel like, I have to put the house in order. Don't do that. Don't wait until your children come one day and say, Dad, Mom, I want to move to a different state. I don't want to continue running the business. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to try something different. Don't wait for that. Don't wait for your employee to come and say, I want to retire early. This is it for me. Goodbye. And suddenly you're against the wall, my friend. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. Be proactive. Take action today, and make sure that whatever you do, don't leave it for tomorrow. Do it today. Okay. It's been a pleasure talking to you. If you want to reach out to us, our email address is welcome@yetoadvisory.com. Again, Yeto is YETO advisory.com. Reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. If we can't help you, we'll find somebody who might be of help to you. So have a great rest of your day. God bless you, and we'll see you